What's up, my friends? David Moss Jr. here, and in this video we're going to do a full review of the brand new Plunge Air with the Pro Chiller. Now, Plunge excites me because they're one of the few companies out there that's actually innovating and coming out with new products every single year, trying to make wellness accessible to the masses. They have products from their pop-up, which is a super affordable way to get cold, all the way up to their super luxurious Plunge All-In. Now, they also have saunas and a ton of other products, but in this video we're going to focus primarily on this setup right here. Let's get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the Evolve series. Now, this is their Pro Chiller. There is an optional heater as well if you live in one of those really cold climates and you're afraid that your water might actually freeze over. That's the only reason you'll want to get the heater. Don't get the heater if you're looking at getting a hot tub. This is not a hot tub, even though it will work and get up to 104 degrees. I just want to go ahead and start this video out because it's one of the most common questions I get on my Instagram is, if I get the heater, can I make it a hot tub at night? Can I make it a cold plunge in the morning? I'm sure you can, but I would not recommend doing that. However, a couple things I love about their new chiller is that this is part of their Evolve series, meaning you can take this one chiller and purchase it on its own, and you can actually connect it to their pop-up tub. You can evolve and go to the Air, and then at some point you can evolve and go all the way up to the Plunge XL if the tub is what you're looking at. The cool thing is the only thing you need with your chiller is the connection to whichever tub it is that you choose, and it's typically just two simple hoses. You connect to your chiller, you connect to your tub, you plug it into power, and everything self-primes and turns on quickly. The chiller itself is an absolute beast. It's a 1 horsepower chiller rated for indoors or outdoors. It uses an 8-inch by 4-inch 20 micron filter, which is a massive filter compared to most of the other cold plunges on the market. It is a beast as far as weight. It weighs 91 pounds without any water in it. It's equipped with a 2,100 gallon per hour pump, ozone built in, and it self-primes. Another cool feature that it has and not a lot of people talk about is it has a variable fan, meaning depending on how hot it is outside and how hot or cold your water is, it's going to adjust the actual fan speed, so you're not going to have to utilize full power from this chiller if you're just trying to cool your water down a couple degrees because it happened to be a hotter day. And to ensure this chiller can work for every state, they actually test this in a 120 degree ambient temperature box, making sure that it keeps the water at 37 degrees continuously. Once again, it's one of the companies that's actually innovating, making these products really, really good for us consumers. Now, this may be a robust chiller, but it does come with a pretty high price tag. Currently, they're selling the chiller on its own for $34.99. That price is subject to change. But if you do decide you want to get any Plunge product, I do have a link with a discount code down in the description below that you're more than welcome to use. And the chiller does come with a 12-month warranty, and it has 0% financing available if that's something you'd like to do. Now let's talk about the actual Plunge Air tub itself. You can purchase this tub itself if you decide you want to just use this with ice. And there are a few distinct features about this tub that separate it from all the other inflatables on the market. One key feature is it's one of the widest inflatable tubs on the market. They use a very durable UV resistant drop stitch fabric, which is supposed to increase the lifespan of this. And that also increases the insulation, which is going to help keep your water cooler longer. And if you notice, the back over here is actually slanted with that iconic Plunge XL slanted back. It is an extremely comfortable tub because of that slanted back. And if you like that laying down experience, this might be a really good inflatable for you to consider. And you can buy just the tub for $1,190 if that's something that you want and you do want to just use ice. It'll come with some caps so you don't have to worry about the water draining, and it is very easy to clean out. If you notice down there, that little white piece, that's actually where the water, if you are using the chiller, is going to go into your line and also come out. It creates a really nice circulation of water. But if you are using just ice, that's also where the water drains out. So if you are in that situation where you want to drain your water out completely, all you got to do is open that cap up. The water will drain out all the way to the bottom of the tub. So you're not left with 2 to 3 inches of water like on a lot of the other inflatables. Now let's talk about the size of the tub itself. Now, this is a 61-inch long tub. Like I said, it's one of the wider tubs at 32 inches wide, and it's really easy to step in, but it's super deep at 28 inches tall. And because of the design where it has the slanted back over here with the vertical side against the chiller, when you get into this tub, you can actually hold yourself in an active pose, which is one of the things a lot of people question. Should I get a barrel? Should I get a tub? A lot of people like the barrel because they like that active pose. I'm one of those people who really likes the active pose. But you can actually hack it with this because of that vertical wall here. when you put your feet against the wall, you can actually activate your body in a laid down position. So you kind of get a little bit of both. You can lay down and relax, or you can activate your body and stay in that active pose. They did a really good job with this design. And then a question a lot of people ask when you're looking at different inflatables, yes, they are portable. It does come with a backpack. You can deflate this whole thing, bring it all with you if you are traveling with it, which is really great. The cool thing is it takes less than 15 minutes to set this entire thing up, minus the filling up with water. That's gonna take a little bit more time. The cool thing, because they put your access points to the chiller at the very bottom, you can actually turn your chiller on within 5 minutes of putting water in this and go ahead and start the process of cooling down your water. So as I'm filling this up with my room temperature water, the water is being chilled. And it's an extremely efficient chiller, so I should have cold water within the next 2 to 4 hours, which on a hot summer Florida day is extremely fast. One of the biggest questions that I get from people all the time is, which plunge would you go with? Would you start with the Air? Would you go to the XL, or would you just go ahead and get the all-in? And I wanna go ahead and ask a few questions to you as the viewer, if that's something that's crossing your mind. And the first question is, what's your budget? There's a big price swing from the pop-up, which is $150, all the way to the $8,990 all-in. There's also a big difference in your commitment. When you're buying the Plunge all-in, it's a really big, robust system that's somewhat permanent. When you find a spot for it, it's not gonna be something you're throwing in a backpack and taking with you. Same with the Plunge XL. This is a big, heavy tub. So you need to figure out where it is that you want to keep your cold plunge before you decide which one it is you want to buy. Because if you live in an apartment or you live somewhere where you're going to be somewhat mobile and you might be moving, I would probably recommend you go with the Plunge Air, just because it's extremely easy to dump the water, deflate it, and move it anywhere you want. However, if you've already figured out where you want to live and you have a garage gym or you have a deck or somewhere where you feel like, man, I would love to have a cold plunge there permanently, I would highly recommend going to the XL or even the Plunge all-in. But now we got to talk about the difference, because with their new Pro chiller, that is basically all of the same components that go on the all-in Plunge, which is incredible. But there's a pretty big difference, because if you go with the Pro chiller on the Plunge Air, you're spending $4,490. And if you're adding the heater, you can add about $500 to any of these that you're looking at. But it's a pretty big difference to go from the Air to the XL, which the XL with the Pro chiller is $6,990. And then you've got another jump to the all-in, which is $8,990. So you've got to ask yourself, do I want something that's semi-permanent, beautiful, but a little expensive, or do I want to save a little bit of money and have something that is portable? The good news is you're going to get all the same warranty and support from Plunge, whether it is that you buy the Plunge Air or the Plunge all-in. But there's some questions you got to ask yourself. And if you need a little bit more help deciding, feel free to reach out to me directly on Instagram at dmossjr. I love to help people make decisions that are going to better themselves and their health. Oh, it's the best crunch ever. Okay, while I have my water filling up and getting cold, because I want to do a full review and I want to do it in some cold water, I got to tell you about my friends Masa. This is one of the most delicious chip companies on the planet, and it's probably a chip company you've never heard of. Unless you follow me on Instagram, you see me and my family talking about these all the time. These are traditional tortilla chips that are made unlike any other chip on the planet. They're the only one of their kind. They are made with absolutely no seed oils and absolutely no junk. And that seems like a statement a lot of people make. Let me tell you what this traditional tortilla chip is actually made with, and I want you to try them after this video. I'll have a link with a discount code down below. I want you to try them. This is traditional. They have lime, they have habanero, freaking delicious. My whole family devours all these. They also have a new flavor called churro coming out very soon. But this is what you get: organic nixtamalized corn, meaning they actually make these with additional minerals, 100% grass-fed beef tallow, no seed oils, and they use sea salt by Redmond Real Salt. That's it, 3 ingredients. And if you're like me and your family loves chips, you might as well let them snack, but snack on something that's not going to hurt them. Now, I will warn you, they are not cheap chips. These are very expensive chips, and that's why they've given me a 20% discount code to share with my viewers. So make sure if you want to try out Masa Chips, use discount code MOSS, that's M-A-U-S, and try some Masa Chips today. So good. So as you might be able to hear, the fan is on full blast. What this is doing is it's cooling down my water at a record speed, which is really, really cool. It's also impossible for you to see the screen right now, but I'm gonna explain exactly how simple this chiller is to use. So as soon as you plug it in, it's going to turn itself on. It's gonna start to self-prime, meaning it's gonna pull water in from the tub, put it through the entire system, and then once it feels like it has enough water, everything will kick on and you'll hear this fan kick on. Once this happens, you can start playing around with your screen. which adjusting your temperature is as simple as pressing your arrow down or pressing your arrow up and setting it to the temperature that you want. If you're somebody who likes stagnant water when you cold plunge, anytime you jump in your cold plunge, you can press this pause button and it's gonna pause your entire system for 15 minutes. You can actually adjust it all the way up to an hour. And I highly recommend when you do get your chiller that you go ahead and set this up with your Plunge app. And here's why. Plunge has one of the most interactive apps that you can use. The cool thing is you can schedule your plunge, you can document your plunge, all that's cool. They have guided plunges, but more importantly, this will self-diagnose and send to the Plunge team if there's ever a problem. They can actually predict a problem with your chiller before a problem ever exists. It can tell you when your filter is getting clogged up and your flow rate is starting to go down. So you're gonna want to actually connect this to your Plunge app for way more reasons than just tracking your cold plunges and taking a picture. But that's a cool touch too. And you don't have to have a Plunge to actually use their app. So if you want to download the Plunge app, it's in the App Store. Go check it out. This middle button is a light, which the Plunge Air does not have a light, but if you were to get one of the XLs that does have a light, that's where you can turn your light on and off. One of the downsides is the screen is very hard to see if you have your chiller outside. If you do have it inside, you can see it very clearly, but when you have it outside, you kind of need to create a little tunnel with your hands, and I can see the temperature that my water is currently running at, and then I can also see what temperature I have set my chiller to. Overall, using the interface is super simple, and if you do decide to use the app, that makes it even easier. But what about maintenance? Well, the cool thing too, and they've thought of everything, instead of having the filter on the side where water is going to leak out all over your floor no matter what you do, it happens, right? They've actually put the filter on the top of the system. So what you would do is you would press this pause button, which I just pressed. I can feel the entire system shutting off. Oh, I should have done this for that entire chiller part because it's much quieter. But you can hear the fan is completely off now. You just pop the top off here. You unscrew the top of the filter canister, and then they're using an 8" by 4" 20 micron filter. This is the same filter I've had. I've used this filter for a few months now. If you followed me for any period of time, you know I've had the Air for a few months. I was one of the first ambassadors of Plunge to actually receive the Plunge Air, one of the first to receive the chiller. So you've been able to see first impressions from me before anybody else. This is a big filter and it's gonna last a lot longer than some of the other filters. You literally just pop it back in there, a new filter. You screw the top back on, make sure it's nice and tight, put your cap on, and then press the pause button one more time. Everything should kick back on here in a second, and you're good to go. All right, let's go ahead and jump in this thing. So for reference, I'm 6'1", about 205 pounds, and this is one of the biggest cold plunges that I have. I know that seems crazy to say. I've reviewed a lot of different cold plunges. If you want to see others, go ahead and check out my channel. I've got playlists, reviews, how-tos, all that fun stuff. But this is one of the biggest cold plunges that I've been in, and that's saying a lot. It's wide enough for me to make sure there is absolutely no hot pockets in my skin, and that's something that you'll learn as you get into cold plunging, is you can cheat the system and you can actually close your arms, close your legs, get into like a ball position, and your body won't necessarily get cold in all of the right places. You kind of want to spread out. Like if you're really going to torture yourself in a cold plunge, you want to spread out. Make sure that water's hitting every spot, in your armpits, under your legs, the backs of your knees, in between your toes and your fingers. Having a wider cold plunge like the Plunge Air is pretty nice, being able to do that. Another nice thing, and this is more of like an annoyance against some of the other inflatable cold plunges, is most of them have the jet kind of like on the wall, pushing water right into one of your sides. This jet, where the water is coming out, is actually down at the bottom, and it creates a circle. So I can feel the cold water coming here, but it actually wraps around me and is just creating a constant circle in this plunge. So every part of my body is feeling that cold water. And once again, if you don't like that at all, you have that pause feature where you can pause all of the water and it'll just be cold, stagnant water, which is really nice. As far as how I cold plunge in my Air, I like to plant my feet against the wall here, and like I said earlier, get into somewhat of a laid down active position. My torso is vertical. I don't really ever lay my head back and get comfortable. Very rarely do I. So I'll have my torso actually engaged, my core is engaged, my feet are planted into the wall here, and depending on how tall you are or how short you are, that's gonna change your position, that's gonna change your experience. but there's a lot of room. So if you're a larger person, a taller person, this is a really good inflatable for you to potentially consider because it is really, really big. One of the things I really like about this, it's just my experience with a lot of the other companies out there. Most of the cold plunges have a pre-filter, which skims out the grass and hair and dirt and debris or anything else that can make its way into your pump, because if something wraps around your pump fan, it could damage your pump. And if you've ever had an issue like that, you know what I'm talking about. There's a pre-filter built in right here, right where my feet are. And if hair or grass or anything finds its way there, all I have to do is grab it, because it's kind of at like a little bit of a cone with holes perforated in it. Is just grab the hair and toss it out. Grab the grass and toss it out. So it keeps the flow rate in my chiller and keeps the flow rate in my cold plunge high, so I don't have to worry about my chiller fighting too hard without having the right amount of water actually flowing through it. So overall, my experience with the Plunge Air is very positive. I would recommend this if you're looking for an inflatable cold plunge. I would recommend the Plunge Air. I'm impressed with the Plunge company as a whole, and it's nice when I recommend something to people and they buy it and they don't complain about it. I haven't had very many, if any, real complaints on a Plunge product, so it makes it really easy for me to recommend to you. All right, let's recap. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. They have a really nice inflatable lid that you can actually stand on top of if you want to. This thing is super duper durable, but it also keeps the elements and the bugs out of your water. So to recap, if you're looking for a high quality, super easy plug and play cold plunge, I would have to recommend you check out the Plunge Air. At least consider it. Hopefully this video answered a lot of your questions. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me, ask them in the comments below. I'll make sure I answer all of those questions for you. But most importantly, I want you to make sure you make the best decision for yourself. If you're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, you know you want to get cold, you would love the plunge, but it might be a little bit out of your price range, I encourage you to go check out the other videos on my channel. I've reviewed a lot of the top cold plunges on the market today, and I try to go over all of the things that you need to know before making that decision. So just go ahead and check out the rest of the videos on my YouTube channel if that's something that you want. But most of you are probably like me, where you're between the Plunge Air, which is really, really nice, but you're also somewhat considering checking out the Plunge XL. And I would say that's probably a lot of you. It's a lot of people who reach out to me. So if you're interested in the Plunge XL, which right now you can buy the original Plunge XL, which that's what this is, for almost the same price as the Plunge Air. And if you are considering doing that, I want you to check out this video next. This is my full review of the iconic Plunge XL, this one right here. I've had it for almost a year now. I just changed the filter for the very first time. My water has always stayed cold, always stayed clean. A very easy product for me to recommend because I've had a great experience with it. So if you want to check that video out, it'll be right here. And once again, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments below, like, subscribe. I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day, and God bless.